Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Walking with the Master. And we have two beautiful brothers here who are masters in the art of self-defense, but more than masters in the art of self-defense, they are masters of themselves. They are working toward the development of one's mind, body, and spirit. Now, I want to welcome everybody to this show that we have. Again, I'm going to introduce them to you in a moment. But before then, I want you to click subscribe. I want you to let some others know, because this is going to be a dynamite show this morning. I want to also greet assalamu alaikum to everybody. I want to say Ramadan Mubarak to the Muslim community, of course. And man, welcome. So the persons that I have online now is one who you all know, that he has been on the show many times, because this is not a show that he's visiting. This is his show. Also, this is Grandmaster Bill McCloud. All right. So, Ush, my brother, how you doing?
Us.
Good.
Happy to be here.
Man, well, welcome home. Welcome home. And first time on this particular podcast, but not the first time on in the media and anywhere else, because he is in his own rights a tremendous martial artist, and he is he is the legacy of his father, who is someone who is a icon in my eye. That I have knowledge of. So this brother that we have here is Mufundishi Khalil Maasi. And as I do that, I'm gonna drop his father's name in here, Mufundishi Maasi, who is, I tell you, he is a gem in the eye of martial artists, and everyone should know him as well. Welcome, my brother. How are you?
Oh, welcome, Us. Greetings, everybody. Greetings. I'm well, and I'm happy and excited to be here. And I just give thanks first for the Creator to waking me up today and allow me to be here with you. And I want to thank you and this platform, the Grandmaster McCloud, for having it for us to come through and to talk about, our masters and grandmasters and people who have come before us. Absolutely.
Yes. Well, let me say this. The first time you come on, we accept you as a guest, but this is also your platform. So the next time that you're on, just like when we say, this first time I'll go into the refrigerator and get the drink for you this time, but when you come back, you're going to go and get it yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And wash some dishes too while you're over there in the kitchen.
Right, that's right. Beautiful. Well, listen, family, we want to have a wonderful discussion. We want to have a discussion dealing with, one, the reason for us doing what we do, and what this platform was for us to recognize Dr. Moses Powell, Musa Muhammad, and in recognizing him, it's a tribute that we're giving to our teacher and whatnot. But not only is it just for Doc, because Doc, is someone who has been with the best of martial artists and has associated himself and have been a student himself with principal martial artists like your father. So we're going to get into this conversation. Grandmaster Bill is someone who has been around for many years in the art. He has a lot of knowledge. Now, I'll tell you, you better watch out, because, if Grandmaster Bill get your number, he's going to hit you with some stuff now. He's going to make you learn.
Absolutely.
My brother, but he's even more informed than myself in many different areas, and I'm grateful to have him. So he is going to be on. He's on here as well to help in this conversation with you, if that's all right.
More than all right. I'm a little younger than him, maybe a lot. So there are things I haven't seen and know that he can fill us in on. You know, he's a living treasure himself in our community as well.
Just to start off, you know, you speaking about Dr. Powell and the multiple relationship he had with different martial artists that helped him to create what it is that he brought together that we know as Sanukas. Right? Is a platform of a lot of different expressions of martial art. And one of the expression of martial arts that's in Sanukas is the expression from the Bando system. Which, Dr. Powell and Khalil father studied under Dr. Munji. Munji was in Ohio, taught at Ohio University.
Yes.
He pilgriming out there to study. So in my school, when you come in, at the top of the stairs is a picture of Dr. Powell, and he's sitting in the czar, and he has the Bando patch on, and as well as the Bando knife and sword. So that picture was a picture where not only was Dr. Powell sitting there, but Khalid's father was there beside him. So I'm gonna let Khalil pick up and tell you who his father was and how famous he was for the carrying forth this expression, the Bando expressions, plus many other forms of martial arts that his father brought to the community. And this is why it's so important for the legacy of these people who came amongst us and left this information for us to be able to create a platform for it to live and blueprint for it to go on to the next generation.
Yes, sir. Yes. Come on, brother.
Appreciate that. I appreciate that. All right, so let me go back in the time capsule and let me say this first. Much of this history I've been a witness to. Much of it is second and third person to me as well. So I will speak on what I know, and those things I don't know, but hopefully you can fill that in, Grandmaster McCloud. But it's a journey. My father, Shaha Mufundishi Maasi, was born in 1941 in Neptune, New Jersey, the son and grandson of Jamaican immigrants. I'm going to gloss over some history that we can go into specific areas where you may want to pinpoint. He was born the son and grandson of Jamaican immigrants. His mother was brought over here as a child, and he was born and raised here. They are, particularly on his grandfather's side, descendants of the Maroon people of Jamaica, the Coromantee people that they're called as well. It's known that they are descendants of the Ashanti Empire, the Ashanti warrior empire. And these people fought back against the British in Jamaica and established their own land and forced the British to form a treaty with them. And they're also known for collaborating with our brothers and sisters from Haiti during the Haitian Revolution as well, going back and forth between the islands, fighting and supplying each other as well. The reason why I mention that, because it's a very important part of his arc and his story, being a descendant of Africans by way of Jamaica who fought in Africa, fought when they got to Jamaica, and then he came here and participating in fighting for our freedom during the what became later known as the Black Power movement and such forth, as we were fighting for our freedom during American apartheid, Jim Crow. So that gives the backdrop on his story of who he is. Grew up in New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey, lived in Harlem for a while, eventually, and went through those experiences as a young Black man, growing up in North America. He used to talk to me about being a young boy during the time of Emmett Till and those things that transpired, and being around the age of Emmett Till and how he viewed that scenario and the fear that was in his body during that time of being a young Black man, and knowing he could be taken out at any second for any reason. Moving forward through history, again, he spent some time in Harlem. He used to talk to me about his time hanging out with and working with brother Sonny Carson and Bubadika, who was the one of the brothers who helped secure the community during that time period in New York City. Brother Sonny Carson, father of Professor, brother who went by the name of Professor X, the overseer for the rap group X Clan. So spent time in Harlem, coming of age during that time period, and eventually he had to leave to go to the military, to the United States Marine Corps, where he was at 17 years old. And he used to speak to me about how when he was traveling there, and he was on the bus on the way to Paris Island, and he was looking out, and he saw in the fields the sharecroppers and the way they were dressed and the hard work, and they were sweating. He said he thought he was looking at, slaves working in the field, which, for lack of a better word, they were, And we know slavery extended in some places upwards into the 20th century. So he joined the Marines, where he, first was introduced into hand-to-hand combat, and then later began to study Kimpo under Staff Sergeant James Hope. He studied Kimpo during his time in the Marines, went to Laos, Southeast Asia. When he came home, he began to study Shito-ryu karate under Grandmaster James Cheatham, who was also the teacher of Kareem Abdullah, Grandmaster Kareem Abdullah, Fight Commissioner Larry Hazard, Brother Prentice Newton, Ibrahim Sharif, and a who's who of people who are notables in our community. And from there, he went on to study, after James Cheatham's death, he studied for a while with Grandmaster Alan Lee in the Chinese martial arts. And then he also, from there, went to Bando with Grandmaster Dr. G, Grandmaster Mong G, where he became most known for during, his time in the martial arts was in the Bando practice. And then he went on and cross-trained and studied with many others in different styles, his peers, and other masters and such forth. So I'm gonna pause right there because I can talk all day. Maybe a couple of questions coming. Yes.
Well, one of the things that this blueprint that you just laid out, it's like it connects us all in the Black experience of martial arts because of the condition that we were confronted with at the time when you spoke about the revolution that was occurring back in the 50s and why it became a necessity for Moses to create what he did that he called Sanukas, which term, some people call it the simplicity of martial arts, but from his mouth to my ears, he said this was the way of the survivor. It was
absolutely
the way, right? And he created the form of martial arts to be able to live under the condition of all the things that you just described that connects us all, right? Absolutely. One of the things that I strongly feel is that, especially in the Black experience of martial arts, is that we have our experience the same, right? And we have so many different names that divides us, right? So, when the common denominator here is the fact that, we can say that we are Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, Red Sea, Dead Sea, Indian Ocean, but we're all water. It's still, bottom line, it's like water. So see ourselves in connection with just describe as the experience that relates to us all. What your father has, it's my experience. Exactly. It's Great Anthony's experiences. Everybody, it's the same experience. There's no different. The only thing that separates us is the names that we call whatever it is that we're doing. And so, because we still under the same, you and I, we was having a conversation before this started about the thing, that the book that you said that your father, you probably can speak about that, the post-traumatic slave syndrome, right? Post-traumatic slave syndrome create the condition for us to perform the type of martial arts that we had to create to live under these conditions.
Absolutely.
It was a psychology and a mind that went into the creation of a lot of these, you know? So that was very powerful, my brother.
No, absolutely. I agree. And in fact, I want to ask if it's within your knowledge, did he talk any about the racism in the military? He was in the Marines, right? And the reason I ask, because Grandmaster Ron Van Cleef, he has a whole story on what they did to him the military as a Black man, even hanging him and all kind of stuff like that. So I was just wondering if there was any experience that he may have talked about to you while being while he was in the military, and what may have happened to him.
He was very guarded about his military experience, as well as he was about the movement. And part of that was to protect us from certain things, you know, and, you know, you only know what you need to know, you know. But, you know, he spoke, you know, overall about the general racism, you know, in the military. And then, of course, going overseas and being told by, you know, the native people of those lands, you know, why are you here? You know, why are you fighting us? And they calling you this and that back over there. And you can't eat there, and you can't sleep there, and you can't go to the bathroom here. So, and, you know, he told me of the general experiences. And then, of course, he told me, well, not of course, but he also told me about two particular incidents where there was another Marine who he was having conflict with, who was pretty much, you know, a Caucasian who was pretty much twice his size in height and in build. And I guess because my father was not a person to really take too much intimidation, you know, and this guy was going around intimidating everyone else. And my father had several altercations with him. And you know, and he admitted that he came out on the losing side of those altercations at that time too. But he was able to gain a certain level of respect because he stood up for himself and fought back against, you know, people who were in his troop, who were treating other people in a highly racist manner. Again, he didn't go into details with that too much. But he also spoke in more detail also about a situation, and it's going to be in his book when we get that published. He spoke about a situation where he was on duty, and there was another rifleman who was I forget how many yards away, Caucasian, and he looks up and he sees the rifleman pointing his weapon at him. And so he automatically points his weapon back, and they're locked there for a second with their rifles on each other. And then the other Marine grins and puts his rifle down. And so they ended up later on having a conversation about it. And my father asked him, what was that about, blah, blah, blah. And the guy said, I'm just checking to see if you were on point, you know, according to his story. And then my father said he just brushed that off, you know, at the moment, because he didn't want it to turn into a situation where he would probably be disciplined too as well, because usually that's what happened, particularly with us. If there was an issue, you know, unless there were witnesses and such forth, we were going to get the raw end of the stick. Well, it turns out later on that the Marine ended up going and filing a complaint against him, and filed a complaint. So he got blindsided by that. He had to come back and file a counter complaint, and based on his record and how upstanding it was, they didn't come down on him as hard as he thought they would. They both of them were stripped of rank, you know, and he was sent on a particular duty on an island that was isolated, and he's out there in the storm during bad weather and a whole bunch of stuff. Now he never spoke to me of any physical issues, actual conflict that he had, or with too much dire consequence. But he spoke to me about the little things in terms like that, you know, going out on leave and the racist taunts and such forth like that, you know, minor conflicts. He never had, or he never disclosed to me any situation like that with Grandmaster Ron Van Cleef, where he was, you know, beaten and hung. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, let me go to he as a martial artist, and I'm the interview that I saw. I mean, he went into a lot of information. It was a very good interview. Yeah. And in terms of it, and one of the things that was talked about was the African martial arts. And I kind of, you know, that's what I understood it to be like. And what he said, he did not identify as an African martial arts in particular. Could you explain any of that?
Well, the reason why is this, because people over time, and I understand why, looked at Kupigani and Gumi, which is what we're talking about, as an African martial arts. And for those who did not know better, looked upon it as being a traditional African art, import from the continent of Africa. Kupigani and Gumi actually is we would call a African diaspora martial art, or a new African martial art that was developed. And let me say beyond that, before that, is actually in its origins, it was not identified as a martial art. It was identified as a vehicle for human growth and potential. All right, that was what the vehicle was used for primarily, and it came of origin during the Black Arts movement during his time with Dr. Maulana Karenga and Imam Omiri Baraka, who he worked closely with during those times and studied with and studied from. So during that transformative period, when a lot of our arts in our community were being transformed by the Black experience, you know, the African experience, the emergence of information that was coming in during the 60s and 70s and 80s, is when he began to develop what became known as Kupigani and Gumi. African with a K, African martial arts. The K stands for Kuchi Jakalia, self-determination. Now, within the course of that, there have been research and study and interaction with traditional African martial arts, philosophy, practitioners and so forth. But in its overall self, Kupigani and Gumi was a vehicle for human self-development, and it was considered to be a synthesis of traditional and modern modern martial arts from the martial arts diaspora, but leaning towards the research, study, and preservation of the martial arts of the African and Black experience. So that's a whole lot in the mouthful, but no, it's not. Kupigani Gumi is not a traditional African art, never was. It is a synthesis, a modern day synthesis of our total experience martial arts from Africa to Asia to America to now.
Beautiful.
Well, one of the things I think in terms of what is considered to be a martial arts, first of all, when we speak of martial arts, it's, you know, it's in the arena of war and fighting, right? And war and fight, it's a spiritual thing, first and foremost, right? The form that it takes in through this vessel and body that we use to express it, when we see things that we say is African, we could say whatever, the body only moves a certain way according to the creator's design. And going back to the names, we have 1,001 different ways of calling these different things when you see it. And well, I'm seeing how you express something that you do, and you may call it one thing, and I say, well, I must be doing the same thing because, you know, I'm doing that as well. So it's a little story here, right, about this guy who was in the bar having a drink, right, and he sees this other young lady in the bar, and he approaches her and offered to buy her a drink, and he says, "I'm a lesbian. I'm into women." And the guy said, "Oh my goodness!" He says, "I must be a lesbian too, because I'm into women too."
Well,
so you know, we have these things that we call we have this temple that we live, body that we, you know, it's if I coda gash your wrist and the jujitsu, and if I coda gash your wrist and call it aikido, if I coda gash your wrist and call it judo, if I coda wrist and call it hapkido, the wrist only go a certain way. It's only going to go that way. To call it so getting back to the spirituality of the expression. Art is a outward expression of inner cultivation, right? And so you can say for the human development, yes, because whatever it is that you're doing it from the inner standing of who you are, expression of this form.
Yes.
So you know, then we have like all these different debates about what is African, what is Chinese, what is Japanese, and stuff. And you just look at what they do, and everybody have a different expression of the movement.
Yeah. Well, let me expound a little further now that we laid the platform on for what Kubigani Ngumi is.
Okay.
Brother Malcolm said, let me paraphrase, that a cat could be, just because a cat give birth to kittens in the oven, don't make her biscuits.
Right.
So there's several conversations going on here, and the highest level conversation is that from the scientific, what we say, forgive me if I don't pronounce it correctly, the haplological aspect. For those who don't understand, haplology is the study of the evolution of humankind and of the world through the lens of warrior societies and practices.
Okay.
All right, so for us, that's first and foremost our highest level of training and study. We're haplologists, we're scientists of this thing. We study this to much degree that we can. So in understanding so-called what's African martial arts, what is an African, and all of these conversations that come up, I have to go back to information that was shared with me by Brother Charles Daniel Dawson, one of the elders in our community in martial arts. Yes. Little known to most people, but one of the elders, not just in the martial arts, but in the research of martial arts and classical African and Caribbean culture, as far as martial arts is concerned. And he shared me a ton of information on martial philosophy and such forth. And there's a term that is used in a paper he gave me. And it was also, I went to a lecture, demonstration, performance by several top martial artists in our community, Grandmaster Ja Grande and Mestre Cobra Mansa in Capoeira, Angola, who I ended up studying under for a time period too. Mr. Ja Grande, who's probably the oldest living Capoeira Grandmaster in the world, Capoeira practitioner. He's in Harlem, NYC. And one of the things they outlined was called the African philosophy of movement. And in this idea of the African philosophy of movement is that as a people, we have a biogenetic history encoded within us that dictates everything that we do in terms of not just martial arts, but of movement and sports and combat. And you see this played out no matter what you call it, whatever style, system, whatever we touch. Right. We see it in the boxing of Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray Robinson and Roy Jones Jr. You see it in the martial art practice of Grandmaster Moses Powell. We see it in the MMA with the Anderson Silvas and the Israel Adesanya, the creativity, the movement, the style. We see it in football back in the day with the Tony Dorsetts and the Walter Paytons and whoever the stars of are today. Basketball, the Michael Jordans. And this goes on. We play with a different flair, a different nuance. This is coded into our biogenetic memory. All right. Martial arts, like everything. Martial arts, like many crafts. And I'm not a scientist, so you can fact check me. And I'm always researching and stuff. Or let me say, I'm not a trained scientist in this manner. But we all are scientists. Martial arts is both nature and nurture. There's a place in us, just like a cat, a dog, or any other life form, where we are born and raised with certain tendencies and gifts and abilities that we hone through different lenses, whether it be a Shitoru or Capoeira or Sanukis, whatever, but we still are going to function as who we are.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
One of the things, what you just said, and it kind of bring home, somebody had said that, and this goes across the board for all of the ones who carries that same genetic thing that you're talking about. They said Muhammad Ali was God showing off,
Mm-hmm.
because it expressed exactly what you just were saying. I don't know a better way you could say it, multiple different ways and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That is that spirit that called what you just called it,
Yeah. So and just explain a little further. So when you talk about martial arts throughout the African diaspora, the Black diaspora, because we study many different styles, we still see that flavor, that rhythm, that timing, that movement that comes from us as a people that we uniquely embody. And that is what we studied in terms of the African experience, not one different style, but the general overall energy and philosophy behind the movement of Black bodies in diaspora. And in doing that, also just to give further note, and in collaboration with other martial artists. Again, I mentioned Grandmaster Ja Grande, who was a big benefit to me in understanding African diaspora movement or what's called Congo Atlantic movement, which is what Capoeira comes out, Trinidad, Sticklick, Kalinda, Pingi. I can just throw in names out there, the Damier. These are all styles that come through that African transatlantic experience that have that same vibe, that movement, that dance, that rhythm, that timing, and such forth. These are little known systems and styles. And, when we've had a wide body of participants with us along the way, like Hati Kalindi, who passed away a few years ago, also one of our illustrious teachers from Detroit, Michigan area, who traveled numerous times to Africa, training and bringing data back to us. Brother Dennis Newsom, also Mr. Preto Valor, Capoeira, other systems of martial arts, 52 blocks. See Daniel Dawson, again, I mentioned him for all of the research and information that he brought to us. And I can go on, going on and on. Baba Shangi, of the Shangi family, martial artist, dancer, so many different things, you know, griot. And so our overall journey has been the study of African martial arts, but not just Africa. I want that to be clear since you asked this question. It is of the total 360 degree of our warrior experience throughout history.
You know, you mentioned Danny, man. Danny Dawson, I want to have him at this event that we're going to have in May. I spoke with him about it, and he agreed to come. He's a wealth of information culturally about the experience of martial arts, and he's also a Bando practitioner, if I'm not mistaken.
He studied Bando under my father, yes.
Right, right. Danny is, oh my, I can't even, there's nothing, I can't say enough about Danny. You know, he's a scholar. He's a scholar when it comes to talking about what we're talking about now.
He's a treasure. He's again one of those unknown, unsung people to the general society. Yeah. But you're talking about this. To me, he is the high point of this conversation.
Yes.
You know, I don't know anybody who is more. There are others out there who are deep in this knowledge, but he is the preeminent scholar in this.
Yes. So, you know, and I think, you know, for these treasures that we have that's still amongst us, it's like you brought his name up. You make mention of him in context of what we are talking about. And I have been to lectures with him. I was introduced to Danny through Warrington, you know, and this guy, this state, I don't know what to say. I can't find enough adjective to describe how scholarly this guy is.
Living treasure.
Yes.
That's what I'll use. Living treasure.
Yes. Yes. So we you know, hopefully, man, you know, all things given, man, at this event that we're going to have. He agreed to come already. He said he'll do everything we need to do. If people don't understand, they'll see him. You know, we can't see for looking. He's that type of individual.
Well, I'm sorry, you going to speak, Grandmaster?
Oh yes, I was just going to say while we're there, just matter of fact, we'll wait until you say what you're saying, but I want you to come back, Grandmaster Bill, and just mention where the event is going to be and what the title of the event is and whatnot. I know it's coming up soon, so
it's called the Gathering of Grandmasters and Masters. And the theme is the use of force and energy taught by masters and grandmasters, right? So that we can evolve and so we can grow from having an understanding of who we are and what we do. And Khalil, he just you know, he just blew the roof off of the thing about all the different areas that we need to know about as a people, and the ones who are still around us that we need to sit at their feet to eat from in order to, so that we can be better vessels, so that we can be of value to those behind us.
Absolutely. Mufundishi, please.
I forget what I was going to say, but that's okay. It'll come.
Oh, sorry.
What we were talking about prior to that, I forget.
So one thing you was asking, the event is going to be on Friday, the 5th is going to be from 7 to 9 is going to be at 759 Washington Avenue. And on Saturday is going to be from 3 to 6 at 1120 Washington Avenue.
Oh, okay. I remember what I was going to say now. I mean, hopefully we can get him there, but if not, then let's plan on having some form of video situation like this to have him there as well, because I think it is important for the people to see him and hear him while he's here.
No question.
That's right. Excellent. Excellent. Now, I want to segue a little bit, and we have to lift up our elites, you know, and those who were present and still are through us, and those who he has taught. But I want to ask you, Mufundishi, about yourself. You see, I want to hear about you. You know, well, we can start with what was it like being his son. That's one.
Wow.
And then we can go into, you know, what are you doing today? What has being with your father those years that you have been with him, what has that done to lay out the life that you have right now?
Wow. Wow. Deep, deep. What was it like being his son? Wow. I think in regards, I mean, that's a deep question. It was like standing next to an oak tree and and that's all I knew. You know, from the earliest date, I just remember being there. My earliest memory, one of them, is being held in his arms while he's teaching class. You know, I remember one time he used to have this thing where he used to chop apples off of people's throat. His students. That was one of his things he did back in, if anyone remembers his demonstrations back in the 70s and 80s and all that, they lay down and he cut it off their throat and keep moving like it was nothing. I saw that firsthand as a baby. You know, didn't think nothing of it because that's what was going on.
Yes.
And this is how you grow up. I started training around 5, 6 years old, but I was in the dojo back in the day, you know, as a baby in the playpen, me and my brothers, and, you know, and sisters. And to me, it was like being amongst oak tree or oak trees, because it was all of these great, powerful men and women, you know, and I'm just, it was normal, but it was amazing. I mean, my father, Dr. Moses Powell, also Tayari Cassell, Rashan Khan. I could go on and name names and stuff of these men, these powerful people, you know, who at that time, to me, it was all normal. But as I grew older, and so with the times when the conditions actually were, it was like, okay, I'm among superheroes, you know? And it was, you know, when your eyes begin to open up on what the real world is, you're seeing that this is not normal, what's going on here, you know? This is something totally different. So it was interesting. It was powerful. It was fun. It was embarrassing at times because he was different, because what can be exciting and fun can also be embarrassing. You know, when you got this father walking around with a shaved head and a goatee, and you know, and everybody's stepping back from him, and it's like, you know, and but it was a beautiful experience to be able to grow up in the world of martial arts, and particularly when you're young and you're not taking it as serious as you should, or when you look back on it, think you should have. We're like, man, I could have did all of that and learned all of that and been that much better. But, you know, you are where you are. And particularly when you're born into it, you don't see it that way. You're just doing it. So,
yes.
an amazing experience overall. Yes.
So the next portion of that question was, what did that do for you? What your activity now, your life now? What is it? What is it like? Give us a little idea of what that life has produced in you at this time.
Well, I mean, overall, your martial arts guides my total life, you know, in terms of how I think and see the world and interact with it. If it wasn't for martial arts, I don't think I would be alive, to be dead honest, you know, just based on some of the situations I've been in, you know, and had to deal with, you know, health-wise, mental health-wise, conflict and resolution-wise, and such forth. Today, I'm you know, again, we understand, those of us who are deeply into this world, the physical aspect is just one part. There's so many other aspects in this. And I think in terms of what I do as a child assault prevention counselor, I'm a certified child assault prevention counselor with the state of New Jersey. For the past almost 20 years, I've, you know, done workshops with thousands of children on human trafficking, kidnapping, sexual assault, bullying. throughout the state of New Jersey. It's an international program I work with called ICAP, International Child Assault Prevention. I work with the New Jersey CAP aspect of that. So that, just mentoring and teaching the youth in various programs and capacities I've worked with, whether it's been in the city of East Orange, the city of Newark, the African People Action School in Trenton that I worked with at one time, and East Orange school system, just working with the youth in the community, my nieces and nephews, my overall training for my own health and well-being, having gone through a crisis even recently with not only my father transition, but my several members of my family as well, my older brother Jamad and my sister Bonnie, and being able to deal with that and the trauma that was coming from that, mental health wise, and feeling the trauma in my body and have to deal with that through breathing and meditation and yoga and things like that. Everything, martial arts has touched everything in my life. As a filmmaker, I've done some stuff with the martial arts and film and planning much more, in terms of some projects particularly centered around my father. Just being a community leader, being a man in my family, all of that. The martial arts has just allowed me to just walk with my head up. I always say to people when they talk about what it is my father gave me, and we could talk about all of the different aspects of martial, but for me, the biggest part was to be able to walk as a man, as a human being, with my head held high in any situation and look another human being in the eye. And whatever's going to happen from there is whatever's going to happen. But we right here. We right here,
We say, that's right.
Exactly. So yeah, I could go on again. It's an amazing experience. It still is, because I'm going through his things right now. I've had access to the vault. It's like, I was saying to a friend the other day, it's like those adventure movies, man, when you finally get into the dragon's lair.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you get to see all of the treasures.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff I've been aware of already and I've seen, but now that there's other stuff, it's like, okay, I didn't know this, I didn't see that. So I have a lifetime work in front of me, actually, in terms of his all of his stuff. And it's just like, okay, the lessons are just beginning.
What would be something that you would say? I was to be at an event that you hosted, and you did a wonderful job there, and it gave me some understanding, because you had so many of the practitioners from that style, if you will, or styles of thinking. So tell me, what do you, or would you say, or want to give to those martial artists, those persons, to continue in the way that, whether the way you'd like them to be, or whether you think your father would like, or just what would you like to say to them at this time that would bring about a particular unity that we may not have?
Well, my father would say, hey, we have, regardless of what we call ourselves and how we see ourselves, what we name ourselves, is that we all have a common issue. And that's this right here. We can argue and debate over it. We can call ourselves by the many different names. Some of us don't call ourselves African. We call ourselves Moors. There's so many different debates and conversations and such forth out here. But we know historically here, whatever we called ourselves, anyone who looked like this or close enough to it had to deal with this system and all of the negatives of it. And this is something, we're people of many different backgrounds and even different hues, but, we have to rally around, ultimately, our survival as a people, and for the future generations. I could expound on it more, but I just think basically overall, when you see young men getting killed over Skittles and, being dragged behind trucks still, and our sisters' doors being kicked in and shot down, and all of the arguments over what we call ourselves and, you know, how we pray and all these things, which is important to us as individuals. We should be 100% about the way in which we, do certain things. But at the end of the day, they coming by for me today, they coming for you tomorrow, and you look like me.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes. I think that, in the time that we are in, it's understanding who we are, what we are,
Mm-hmm.
where we are, and why we are purposefully here.
Mm-hmm.
There's no happenstance to you,
Mm-hmm.
and to your father either. So it's very important for the legacy of all of those that we contemporarily speak about, stand on, live, because if they died, so do we.
Absolutely.
So we have to find a way to be able to be a vehicle to pass this information and knowledge back, so that those who are coming behind us, and like the thing is that this thing that we are talking about that has been so instrumental and afflicting us. We have, I don't know, okay, we was talking before and you was asking what was the solutions to this thing. I think it has to be that collectively we have to find a way to get together. Like one of the things that these Euros they have think tanks,
Mm-hmm.
And they together regardless of what they could be, whatever they are to each other, but they form these things and they find solutions where they're constructive or destructive solutions to whatever that's going on. The same type of thing and stuff,
We definitely have to be solution oriented. There's something else I will say too, real quick, just to finish answering that. We have to reclaim our warrior heritage as part of that whole overall philosophy as well, that I learned under my father. The main reason is that, we often talk about what was taken from us first. Language, religion, culture, all of these things. Absolutely. One of the very first things that was taken from us was our warrior practices. Because if you can't defend the people of the society, then you're open for whatever that happened.
Absolutely.
And our warrior systems were dismantled on purpose. It wasn't just something that happened. That was the first thing that was dealt with. We gotta disempower these people, because they could, as we know through historically, they were not able to defeat us militarily at first until the Gatling gun was introduced. And then they also utilized the various tribalistic differences in Africa, or even in America, where some of us are indigenous as well as other peoples around the planet. So this is where the study of hopology comes in, is understanding ourselves in antiquity as a warrior people, as a proud people, and taking those principles of warriorhood and instrumenting them into our daily life. He would always talk about how, for instance, the Japanese people, how they were bombed almost out of existence in Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
That's right.
And they regrouped themselves. He said they picked up the pen, they put down the sword and picked up the pen, and transformed their thought and philosophy and put their practices into their everyday life, that same level of execution, that same level of expertise, that same level of skill, and began to excel and lead in areas of education and technology and finance. We have to take that was part of what Kupigani experience was about, taking those principles and philosophies and distilling them and putting them into our everyday life and lifting us up as a people.
Yes. Wonderful, wonderful. Grandmaster Bill, let me ask you, in terms of masters, and we have so many different, and I'll pose it to both of you, masters in all of these different systems of, you know, I mean, there's so many names, which is concepts and thought that's out there. What would you share with them about unity?
Well,
Just for unity.
that's a very important question. I think the first thing that we have to discover who we are in connection with the circumstances that confront contemporarily, and do we have to do what we are doing now? We have to talk to each other, right? First and foremost, we have to understand that the commonality of the issues and problems that confronts us. Your problems is my problems. So it's a common thing that we see that is happening, and if we talk to each other, we can figure these out. Go 1 second. So we need to be able to commune regularly in terms of how it is being finding solutions to these things one at a time, bringing us back together, because all of the problems that we have, when we think about them, we are confronted, as the brother said, we're confronted with the problem on the melanin that we share, you know, and you know, we have a common type of thing that affect us, and we have to find the solution to this collectively. We have to. It can't be no individual. So I have this thing that I do, where if you write the letter me, print the right, and you print the letter we, and on the letter me, see the points are going down. It's and the E represents the energy, right? And on the letter we, the points are going up, and that represents energy as well. So when it's just about me, then it's an individual thing. You can get taught. It's like, you know, the pinky on the hand is very important to the hand, but the pinky solo by itself can't make a fist. So you need all of the members to make a fist to be strong. So it's very important. Unity is extremely important for us now. So all of the different names that we think that makes what we do important, we need to get rid of them and recognize what our common thing is. You know?
Excellent.
There's just to jump in real quick. There's a word in the Ubuntu language, Ubuntu, which means it's basically we. You know, we talk about us as humanity. You know, which when we talk about that unity, and if we see each other in that manner, that's how we begin to deal with a lot of our problems as well. And seeing you as I and I as you and each other, there's no difference. We're all the same.
Right. That's right.
So the what are some of the things that we can do? Because, you know, it's one thing to say unity. Okay, well, if we stay in our own environment, can we really, you know, the we is, in my opinion, the we is coming outside of what your normality is. You know, what you're used to. So sharing that. So are there some examples of we that we can share now with others who are looking and listening?
No, we definitely have to get out of our comfort zones. And for me personally, it's I have nephews who are they're grown now, but they're in the ranges of their early to mid 20s right now. I even have an older one who's closer to me in age. So for me, it's been interacting with them, but also, and of course there's other programs I talked about earlier that I did on a wider level, but also interacting with them. And what I'm doing now, to give you an example, what I'm in the process of doing is getting into getting to know their friends, their homies. What are you doing? Bring them around. Let's all train together. Let's build this village up. It's just getting out. For me, it's getting out there and talking to the young people. We can't be afraid of them. We got to be in there with them. I was at a meeting years ago, community meeting here in North New Jersey, with the local activist groups and such for social justice groups. And there was this brother who stood up from one of the local street organizations, one of the gangs, they call them. And he said, one of the problems is y'all fear us. Y'all don't talk to us. Y'all walk past the corner. Y'all don't come out here. Y'all don't say nothing. Da, da, da. He said, y'all need to talk to us. You want to know why? Because your daughters are talking to us. It's deep, right? We got to get out there and engage. We cannot any longer afford to leave these, never could, but leave these corners alone. You got to get out there, talk to these young brothers. What you're doing, this is what you need. I'm not preaching at you, but this is what you can do. I can help you find a job, possibly. I can help you find how to get in school, help you train, help you do whatever, maybe give you some information how to deal with that court case. But we have to be actively, totally immersed and evolved. We can't do it from the side, speaking at them and preaching and talking, because they're not going to respect that.
Yes, 100%.
Well, we're at that time. I know we could go another hour, and I'm going to ask if at another time will you be open to coming on the show again and having some more conversation and discussion?
I'm thrilled to be here, and the first time I met you wasn't in Chicago though, actually. I've probably been in venues with you around the years and stuff where we didn't know each other or didn't have time to communicate with her. But I met you first time I interacted with you was maybe over 20 years ago. It was in Washington, D.C., Tayari Cassell, one of his workshops. You came in and did a workshop there. That was the first time I got to meet and work with you there. I was super young then. Yeah, but we all were. But it's a pleasure being here. And yes, definitely, I'll be back. It's a great platform, something that we need, and it's something that I need to be involved with my community, and make sure I'm continuing to lift up my father's name and all of our Grandmasters' names.
Yes. But the next time you went through them boxes and stuff, you be come back with some.
Give me about a month and watch what I pull out.
Yes, indeed, man. Yeah. It's a blessing. It's always a blessing to have you, Grandmaster Bill, and it's definitely a blessing to have you on, because this show is about it's about us coming together. It's about us sharing with others, and they come on and they're looking for information. They're looking for informations, and we want to keep lifting up our masters, because again, it's called Walking with the Master. If we are masters, we should have walked with a master or masters as well. So we want to keep lifting their name, keep lifting their name. And when we say, Grandmaster or Dr. Moses Powell, I mean, that's powerful to me and to us. And I know to say his name and to know that we have not even touched a great knowledge of him, but our experience with him was incredible,
Absolutely.
And I gotta say, it's still incredible, because when you do something on the mat, I quickly will say, I where that came from, I don't remember it myself. That just came, you know what I'm saying? So I know from those who have touched me, and I'm just grateful for that. I'm grateful for the students that he had produced, Soke Little John Davis, and all of those that Dr. Moses Powell produced, and then to to recognize his teacher, Grand Professor Florindo Visitacion. You know, I have to, and we have to recognize those who we stand on their shoulders. We have to recognize them and not leave anyone out.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Leave anyone out. So I'm grateful. Grandmaster Bill, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, just, just in the, we in order to become, you have to do. And so but we have to consider what it is that we are doing so that whatever it is that we become is better. So it's very important to give deep meditation and thought to the things that we are doing. Everybody's done something, that, like if you want to erase it, get a read. And whatever, we was talking about it earlier, Kyle. We was talking about these aches and pains and stuff that Well, all right, I don't want to do that. I want to become something better than that, and going forth and stuff. So our doing, this is the only reality that exists is this one right here, right now. This is the reality. And what we do and become from this point going forward is what the value that we're going to add, not only to ourselves, but everybody else around. So deeply appreciation to you, brother, man. You inform me on so many different levels, and I deeply feel. I'm not just saying this. Everybody is my teacher.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody is my teacher. I learn from everybody.
Yes, sir, we do. That's right.
Absolutely. Hey, look. Again, I give thanks for this platform, and give it a place to come, talk with my family, about our family's experience. This experience, this Mufundishi Maasi experience belongs to the people. So I'm here ready and available to share it, with the world, and we have to, because 100 years from now, if we don't, they will have whole new faces and names in the places of our teachers and masters, saying it was somebody else. And I've seen it happen, or the attempt to it happen.
They invented rock and roll.
Hey, brother. So we have to, we have to say the names of our teachers and continue, because that is how ancestors are. In African tradition, ancestors are ancestors because the people who come from behind them continue to say their name, continue to give them praise.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Well, thank you both, and thank you also out there for your ear and your eye, looking at these masters that are presenting their knowledge, and it's all for you. So don't forget to come on back, and you'll see us again next Sunday. Once again, brothers and family, wonderful week.
Welcome, Master Andrew. Welcome back. Well, I want to thank you again for giving of your time and your expertise as we continue our discussion on the Grandmaster Abdul Aziz podcast, Walking with the Master. So let's talk about anything you want to talk about. I know that we had some discussion earlier on stress. So why don't we pick up?
Greetings and blessings, Sister Azziza. Again, I'm truly blessed to be on this platform. And I want to truly thank Grandmaster Azziz for, opening this door to me. And, it has been helping a lot of people. So we give thanks for that.
Yes, sir.
We were on stress the last time. We left off on headache and dizziness and, shakings, we know, and we're going to declare again that stress is just not a good thing.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, you have people that has read about it, you know, you have people that have done their research about it, but nothing goes the way with the person who have experienced it. You can study it all you want, which is great. Don't get me wrong. These are people that help millions of people.
Yes, sir.
But if you're one of those persons that has been through these symptoms because of stress, you know firsthand what it does to you.
Yes, sir.
You know, and I've heard, like I said, you know, we're all in the people business, which is one of the best business to be in. Every day we deal with people, different personalities, different characters, just different people, which is awesome.
Yes, sir.
But stress affects everybody. You know, so when it comes to high blood pressure, yeah, that's stress too. You know,
Yes.
that's a big part of stress. You know, when people have muscle tension and they clench their teeth
Oh.
unconsciously,
Yes.
that's where the stress goes. So it's very important just not to stress. You know what I mean? I know that it's easy for me to stay here and say that.
Yes, it is.
But believe it or not, I've been through every one of these symptoms. So, you know, the journey for every human being is literally what you're going through, what you're seeking and finding about yourself. You know,
maybe you can share what you've done for yourself to help alleviate stress, because I do remember when I was seeing a naturopathic doctor, and he was helping me with some issues and taking me through some detoxing with my liver and kidneys and so on and so forth. But he said to me this, and I have been going to him for a while, and I was able to see the progress I made. But what he said to me is that one of the things that I was dealing with was a direct result of stress. Well, not one thing, but it was a couple of things. Was a direct result of stress. And he said, but I can help you with all these other things, but I can't help you deal with your stress. You have to learn how to do that for yourself to help alleviate these issues. So give me some examples of what you do.
I take a note. You know, I've been on the road since I was 16 years old. It comes with a lot of stuff. And what you do, what I did, I figure out later, you know, when I was about 26, 27 years old, that what you can't fix, leave it alone. For example, when you go and you see somebody on one of them life machine and the beeper is going beep, 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 that means the person is still alive. So sometimes our ups and downs is for us to not be so stubborn and to learn that you can't fix that. Let it go.
Yes, sir.
And we stress more in trying to keep the stress than to let it go. You know it's stressing you, but you don't want to let it go. You know that wheat is not good for you, but it's so delicious.
Oh my God, why you had to say that?
You know, we're including everything into the health thing, you know, because we're still there. You know.
Oh my God, you just exposed me.
No, well, I mean, and this is what we are talking about.
Mm-hmm. Things are easy said. It's definitely a task to do.
Yes, it is. you know, but these are things that we go through, we see them, but you know, we know them. I'm doing this stair climb. I have a client that he's the #1 stair climber in his age group, and he won in LA. For the first time he trained with me, he won. Now I decide that I'm gonna go train with this man. It was a good and a bad idea.
The teacher's going to train with the student.
Yes, but this is what he has been doing for 10 years.
Wow.
Right? So I said to him, well, let me come see what it feels like. Come on, you know, let me see. And he said, all right, this is where I train. Let's go. And there's so much you learn about yourself when you're in a situation that you have to learn and adapt to someone else's rhythm. It's the same thing in martial arts. You have to adapt to another technique, another system. It's the same thing. But if you're humble enough to take the best from it, then you'll be fine.
Yes, sir.
The first time I did it, I felt like the wolf that was blowing down all of the houses. Because at the top, I literally couldn't breathe. So when we look at what we're doing, if I was stressing myself, that would be the first time. The second time, I'm trying to keep up.
Okay.
The third time, I figure that you can't keep up, get your own rhythm.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the fourth time, you get your rhythm. So now you're trying to out and develop what you can do to help yourself. And it's the same thing with stress. If you can't fix it, then how is it that it's going to help you? Let it go don't mean you just drop it. Go and ask advice from somebody else. But ask advice from people who have your best interest, because if not, you're creating more stress.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know? So, you know, we have to literally understand what we're doing to ourselves.
Yes, sir.
And one of the biggest de-stressor in the whole world, in the whole entire world, is to love you first. Once you do that, the stress has no room, because you know you're doing your best, and you know you have a power behind you that will do the rest. You know? So let's not do the stress. So stress brings high blood pressure. This is, you look at the statistic of this, and you say, wow, okay, stomach or digestive problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, stomach or digestive problems. You know, you haven't eaten nothing, but you're bloated.
Direct result of stress.
Exactly. You have not done any exercise, but your trapeziums are stiff and tough as a rock.
Yeah. Look, stop exposing.
Well, you know what I do with all of my clients before I give them a workout? I put them on my massage table, and I get my machines out, and I give them a full body blood circulation.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
I gotta find a trainer like you.
You know, You know, one of my clients said, I want to come on that program with you to tell them what's going on. Like, I said, you won't do that. That's not what we're doing. But they are excited because as a personal trainer, I'm very real with my people.
Mhm.
If something is not working, let's modify it.
Yes, sir. I
You know,
believe in
so,
most definitely. I definitely believe in that, you know. So
you know, and then the stomach ache and problem, and there's a natural my you know, there's a natural rhythm with male and female rhythm, and that have a deadly effect if you're stressed.
really,
Yes, ma'am.
you want to
Deadly
talk?
effect. Like that and stress don't work.
What?
No, it don't work at all.
Can you expand on that?
Like spouses, when one is stressed and the other is not stressed, the romantic level will never exist because of
Oh,
stress.
I got you. I got you. I got you. Okay.
You know, the romantic level of stress cut that. You know,
Yes.
and it's just something that it's a human thing. It's not, you know, it's just a human thing.
Yes.
You know, so we have to also make sure that we find ways of not stressing each other as spouse too, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's one of those things that it does for you. With all of these things, it is really, really very important for us to pay attention to the people around us, to the people in our environment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's okay to look at somebody and say, let me tell you something, you are awesome today.
Yes, sir. Yes.
You know, it's okay to look at somebody and say, you are royal today. You make my day. Thank you very much.
Yes.
It's okay to give a compliment. It's okay to take a compliment.
Yes, sir.
You know, because iron sharpeneth iron, so is the countenance of one to another.
Yeah.
I might be the sharpest iron in the box, but man, one day I got a dull day. I need somebody to help me over here.
No, that's for real.
Stop
That's
me
for
up,
real. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's very important that, you know, when you do something, don't do it because of anything apart from your vibe.
Mm.
Energy, you know? Energy breaks stress, especially when it's good energy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you know, we know that there's problems that exist in the world every day. A problem will pop up, you know, and it's not that those people who like you always sharing love and speaking love, and you know, your energy is always high. I have another friend whose energy is just always high. She won't even go down the path of some negativity. And if there is things that come up that just mess up plans, she's like, you know, it's all in the creator's hands. It's all going to work out. And if it doesn't work out right now, that's okay. Now's not the time. That's her attitude every single day. So how does that come about? That obviously has to come about, because it's not like they don't have problems. It's not like you don't have any problems, you know, because I mean, you've also shared some of those, you know, the trials that you were going through with me. So, but it's the mindset. When those problems present themselves, what you do with it. And obviously that comes that will come automatically from practicing, like in the martial arts, right? You know, practice makes perfect, or perfect practice makes perfect. So, man, we just have to remind ourselves, oh, somebody just hit me with a right hook, but that's okay. That's okay. I got it together now. I got one. It's going to be a great day. You know?
The thing about it is that I don't think of it too much like that. I do think of it like the way you say it just now, but why is it going to be a beautiful day? Because my right hand is coming back harder than the one I got.
I'm talking about. That's the martial artist in you.
So you know, you learn to take it, so you know how to give it. It's like anything else, but with pressure and energy. To give it twice time hard is to see the negativity, delete the negativity, and come with positivity.
You know, when it all boils down to it, Master Andrew, I see stress as fear of the unknown. And the bottom line is there's going to be a lot of things that we just don't know. But when we walk in the path of always ready to learn and to accept what God has for us, then we can shed those pounds, those ounces, whatever it is that we're carrying of stress, of fear, of worry. And, you know, I appreciate this conversation that you're having because, of course, you know, we're talking about mindset, but mindset is the beginning of our physical health. And there's no way we can even talk about how to be healthy if we don't talk about our mindset. So I appreciate this. And I always like to hear how some people de-stress, you know, what things they do is, I mean, we may do some things similar and then there's things that we might do different. But, you know, there might be some things that I never even considered that when someone suggests, I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds like a perfect thing. I'm going to try it. You know what I'm saying? And we find another thing to put into our arsenal, because it's like in the martial arts, right? We study all these techniques. So we're building up an arsenal to defend ourselves, and we have to build up an arsenal of techniques to de-stress, to defend ourselves. I love this conversation. Thank you so much.
You know, it's always iron sharpens iron.
Yes, sir.
It's always each one teach one.
Each one. That's right.
It's the same thing, you know. I'm in the mountains, you know, as you know, where I'm from in the mountains. I mean, you know, you don't stress people because you know stress kills. Because
yeah,
you know, nothing good comes from stress. So to de-stress or never to have stress. Let's talk about never to have stress and to de-stress.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's right. Well, I appreciate that. And I really see that, you know, there's so many more things that you can share, we can talk about, and we can open up the airways for people to make comments, suggestions, and, you know, let us know what's going on in their life and how even what you shared with us today has been helpful to them. So I invite everybody who's listening and who's watching to please share your comments, like, and if you have not subscribed yet to Grandmaster Abdul Aziz's channel, Walking with the Master, subscribe, because so many things will be shared with you from Grandmaster Abdul Aziz and many of the practitioners that work this art all across the world, and you don't want to miss it. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. So with that, I'm going to just ask you, Master Andrew, do you have any last words of advice or, you know, to share with our audience today? Because this is your goal.
I hope you see my shirt. You see my shirt?
Oh, yes. That shirt is the bomb.
I love her energy.
Oh, I'm telling you, this
I love
sister,
her energy, yes.
she is such a beautiful sister.
Yes.
She doesn't even realize how much I look at her as a mentor. She does such wonderful things
Great energy.
in, yes, teaching the martial arts to women, empowering women. She's phenomenal.
And the fact, I think they're a power couple, you know.
Oh, without a doubt, definitely. Definitely. Grandmaster Odette and Sijo Mutaka Beer, they are
energy.
fantastic. Yes, indeed.
But, my thing for the day is that walk in the meditation, because what you don't want for yourself, do not dish it out. Love always only gets better.
I love it. I love it. And it, you know, when you say that, it always reminds me of what my brother says. His thing is always love. Always love. Thank you, Master Andrew. Until our next segment, we will hopefully see everybody back and then some more. So have a blessed day. Peace and love.
Student of a master here today, you reflect your master teacher. You want to walk like him. You want to talk like her. But you start by having an object in front of you that you admire.